So let's start with the second question: how to pass data from controller to views. Now till now what we have done is basically in the first example, right, we created a simple controller class, right? So we had one nice controller class, and this controller class basically invoked a simple page, a simple view, index.aspx. All right, now let's say that in controller we set some data. For example, let's say we get the current date and time. Okay, just a simple example. So current date and time, and we would like to display this current date and time on the view. So how do we do it? So let's go ahead and open our Visual Studio first. So let's open our first sample, the previous sample which we have created, that is the hello world sample, where we had created a controller, and the controller invoked a simple view called as index.aspx. Now what we'll do is, let's go to the hello world controller class, and in this hello world controller we'll pick up the current date and time, and this date and time we would like to display on the index.aspx page. Okay, so now in order to pass data from controller to the view, or possibly from the view to the model, there is something called as view data, which is there in the MVC framework, okay, of ASP.NET. So let's go ahead and define a simple view data with a name called as current time. So you can see that basically I've created a simple view data over here with the name called as current time, and let's set the current date and time to this variable, right? Now the next task is basically to display the view data, that is current time, which we had set in the hello controller class, on the ASPX page or on the view. So let's say, so let's display it. So the current date and time is, now whatever we want to display, right, means whatever variables like view data or any other variable which we want to display on the view, we have to use a percentage equal to tag. So you can see that I've defined a percentage equal to tag as a start, and then the percentage tag as the end. And in between of this, I would like to go and say that please go and display this variable, that is view data current time. So let's put a debug point here in the controller, and let's hit F5. And yes, I want to debug. Yes. So once we run the application, we can see that there is an error popped up here, and this error is but obvious. Why? Because we have yet not invoked the action. So until we don't invoke the action hello world, it will not go and invoke this index function, and it will not go and invoke the index.aspx page. So let's go ahead and type here hello world, and let's say enter. Now the time I do that, you can see that basically it has come to my debug point here, that is in the index function. So just let's move the debug point ahead, and let's go and see in the quick watch what is there in the view data. So we can see that in the view data we have our current time. Let's do a F11. Now the time we do a F11, it comes to the view. So our debug point has now come on the view. Let's quickly go and check if we are able to get the view data in the view. Yes, we are able to. And if we run this whole thing, we can see that basically it has displayed the data on the view. So in other words, we set the data, the current time, inside the controller, and now it is displayed on the index.aspx page. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. So in this video we saw that how we can use the view data object to pass the data from controller to the view. Now when we talk about MVC, right, there is one more thing called as model. So till now we have not yet talked about the model. We talked about the controller, we talked about the view, we talked about that how we can pass the data from the controller to the view, but yet we have not talked about the model. So what we'll do in the next video is we'll talk about the complete model view controller in totality. So we'll introduce a simple class called as customer, which will be nothing but our model, and we'll see the whole MVC action in totality, and we'll try to understand that how we can create MVC project using the MVC framework. Thank you very much.